My name is Keith Nitka, and I'm proud to be the Battleship Operations Manager here on board Battleship Wisconsin. And I want to thank you for joining me today on another Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure. So in today's adventure, it's not so much Battleship Wisconsin as it is some history in the Navy itself. One of my favorite subjects, the difference between the right arm rate and the left arm rate. So in the 248 years that the United States Navy has been in existence, a lot of changes have been made. A lot of things, of course, stayed the same. The Navy holds tradition and heritage close, but a lot of things also change over time. And one of those things is the way rating badges have developed, how they started out, how they changed, how they developed, and where we are today. So it was in 1841 where the first regulation stipulated that a petty officer in the Navy could wear a armband or a patch designating his rank. So the first patch was worn on the left arm. So it was like this patch here, worn on the left arm. The wings of the crow, the wingtips were pointed down, perched on a fouled anchor, whereas here you have just an actual perch, but it was perched on a foul anchor. And then in 1866, they made a change to the patch and they added the rating symbol. There were eight original symbols that were added to the patch to show that this was a petty officer who worked in a particular branch, or that was his particular job or rating. The next change came about in 1886. In 1886, they changed the wings, whereas they were pointing down, they're now pointing straight out, similar to here. They still have the rating badge underneath it, but now is also when they added the chevrons. So there are 2 chevrons here for a second-class petty officer, 3 chevrons would be a first-class petty officer, and just 1 chevron would be a third-class petty officer. So that was the next change that happened then in 1886. The change also specified that if you were in the starboard watch, you would wear your rating badge on the left sleeve. If you were on the port watch, you would wear your rating badge on the right sleeve. Some ships at the time were broke down into port and starboard watches, and the placement of the patch would designate which watch you were part of, so that somebody could look at you real quick. Just like, and that's what it is. Someone could look at you real quick and know, oh, you're a second-class petty officer. That's your job, and placement of the patch would tell me which watch you were supposed to be on. So that change happened then, like I said, in 1886. General Order 431 changed the position of the tips of the wings to an upward position. That was the only change that occurred. And then in 1913, they stopped doing port and starboard watches based on rating badges. They now had specific rating badges for a left arm or for a right arm. And that 1913 change lasted all the way through until after World War II. And that's how it ties into Battleship Wisconsin itself. Because, of course, Battleship Wisconsin saw service during World War II. You would have had on board the ship right arm rates and left arm rates. And there was a lot to the right arm rate and the left arm rate. The right arm rates were reserved for sailors of the seaman branch. In the seaman branch, there were a few different jobs. It started with bosun mate. The bosun mate is the #1 seaman branch, and then it broke down from there. There was bosun mate, there's quartermaster, signalman, gun turret, torpedoman, that sort of thing. The left arm rates were part of the engineering or artificer or anything else, any other rate in the Navy that had a left arm rate. Now, the difference between the left arm rate and the right arm rate, it was huge. It was huge to the sailors at the time, because the right arm rate sailors were also considered the original rates of the United States Navy, dating all the way back to the Continental Navy. So there was that stigma that went along with that pride that went along with that. But also, being in the right arm rate, I could, if I was a right arm rate sailor, I could stand in front of a left arm rate sailor in line. Now you would think that's not a big deal. Standing in line, why can't you wait an extra few minutes? On a ship of this size, where there's over 2,000 sailors that are standing in line for food, for pay, to get off the ship, anything that's going to get me closer to the head of the line so I don't have to stand in line for so long is a huge bonus. So how it works is this. You have your different ranks in your right arm rates, you have your different ranks in your left arm rate. This is, of course, a machinist mate chief. This is a bosun mate chief. And you can see here you can see here how the eagle faces in a different direction. The left arm rate points inward, the right arm rate points inward. And that's how it went. The eagle's face points inward. And if I am a third class quartermaster and I'm walking along the line for food, for lunch, and I get all the way to the front, and the very next person in line is a first class machinist mate, even though I'm a third class petty officer, I'm part of the right arm rate. I can stand in front of that first class machinist mate, and I'm going to get food before him. I will get paid before him. I will do all that just in line itself. I just have to walk the line, and whoever is standing in front of me, I get as far as I can in the pecking order, and that's where I'm going to stand. Now, the pecking order doesn't stop with just the right arm or the left arm rate. The pecking order also is in the right arm rating system. The bosun mate, like I stated before, is number one in the pecking order. So a bosun mate third class can stand in front of a quartermaster chief in line, because bosun mate, even though he's a third class petty officer, comes before a quartermaster. So that's how that works. After World War II, 1948, new general order came out. They changed the rating badge again. They changed the placement again. Everything was now moved over to the left arm. The crow itself sits on top of a perch. Wings are up and out on top of the rating badge, which is on top of the chevrons. But all the jobs, no matter what your rate was moved over to the left-hand side. Now, also, when you went to put on a rating badge, like this one here, for instance, you can see here on the back, that's the name of the woman that made this piece. This was handmade by that woman, and it was either sold or given to the machinist mate chief that wore this badge. You can also see here this one. This is very ornate. It's got what's called bullion. You can get bullion, of course, in today's Navy. If you want to spend the money on bullion for your rating badge, you can do that. But this, again, of course, this was handmade, and it was made of bullion specifically for this chief petty officer of, at that time, the right arm rate. This is a quartermaster chief's jacket and pants. That's part of my personal collection, because I started collecting uniforms a few years ago, and that's what inspired my real interest in the right arm left arm rate, because of course this is my uniform, and the first thing I noticed when I got this was that the rating badge is on the wrong side and the eagle or the crow is facing the wrong direction. So that got me thinking, and I did a little research, and this was one of the more interesting facets of naval history that I found. So this is a jacket in my personal collection, and that, of course, is my jumper top when I served on board Wisconsin. So that is right arm versus left arm rates in the Navy. It's a little known piece of history because it doesn't come up a lot in speeches or talks or anything like that. You may catch a glimpse of it in an old World War II movie where you've got a chief bosun mate or a first-class quartermaster and his rating's not on the right side. But it's not talked about, so I wanted to share that with y'all. Again, thank you very much for joining me today, and hope to see you real soon.